Hey everyone, it's Jason, and welcome to your weekend cruise news update. And imagine being on your cruise and they ask you, where do you want to go next? Also, does this certain type of behavior trigger you on your cruises? So cruise story number 1, what triggers you or bothers you about other passengers' behavior when you're on your cruise? Now this was brought out by John Heald, the brand ambassador for Carnival Cruise Lines. And I thought this was really interesting because he picked 3 topics that I see come up on his board all the time. The first one is people wearing jeans in the main dining room on their elegant night. The second is veterans wearing hats in the main dining room. And the third was, and the most popular, was passengers being rude to the crew, not saying thank you when they take care of things for you. This had over 95% of the vote, with over 23,000 total votes. Now what was interesting is if you go to the comments section, a lot of people were either they were upset by the way the crew was treated, or they just didn't care. None of them. They didn't pay for their cruise, so they didn't care the way other people acted. What boat or ship are you in? Are you in the I don't care what other people do? Or is there something that really bothers you the way passengers act? Let me know in the comments. So cruise story number 2, imagine you're on a cruise and it's not going very well at all. And about halfway through your cruise, you decide to throw in the towel. You're gonna get off at the port, get on a plane, and head on home. Well, this has actually happened on the Queen Mary II World Cruise. Now it doesn't say how many passengers are doing this, but it just said a number of them. And in my opinion, if one does it, it's enough. Now, they said a lot of the passengers are just fed up, calling the cruise a disaster. Now, what happened is they rerouted the passengers because of the Red Sea stuff. The war there, the conflict, it's not safe. Well, the passengers were understanding of that, but they are being rerouted back to ports they've already been to. And many of the passengers said these ports in Africa, they did not feel safe at, including some that were mugged at these ports. Also, there's been norovirus running rampant on the ship for basically the entire time of the cruise. So much so that they said passengers are having to quarantine up to a week at a time. So passengers are done. They're gonna get off the ship, get a plane, and head on home. Would this be something that you would ever do? You spend thousands of dollars for a world cruise. I'm sure it took months, maybe even years to plan this, and a lot of money, and they're just giving up. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. So before I get to cruise story number 3, I would ask that you please like this video, as it does help the channel grow. Also, consider subscribing, as I do daily cruise news shorts and tips and tricks. I also do longer cruise videos on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays at 8 a.m. Thanks so much. So cruise story number 3, and I think this is pretty cool, of Royal Caribbean. So this is the World Cruise, the Serenade of the Seas, and as we talked about on the last story, they just can't go to that Red Sea area. There's certain areas they just can't go. So they got everybody in the theater and they asked them, gave them 2 options. We can either do this or that itinerary instead of doing that Red Sea area. I think that's pretty cool, allowing the passengers to vote on where they want to go. Now, depending on what itinerary, this is the other part that I think is really awesome that Royal Caribbean's doing. They're giving their passengers more options. So depending on what itinerary they pick, they're going to get anywhere from a 25 to 50% refund on this portion of the cruise. And if there's passengers that just aren't interested in doing either one of these and want to go home, they're giving them a full refund. That's the way you treat customers. That should be a warning or a lesson to other cruise lines. Take care of your customers. I have to say, I'm impressed. I really am. I know I'm hard on Royal Caribbean sometimes, but overall, they do a good job. That company really is in touch with basically doing the right thing. And that's the right thing. I've never heard of them giving options. I think that's really cool. And if they don't want those options, they can go home. And then no hard feelings. Hey, here's your money back. Not a problem. What do you guys think about the way Royal Caribbean has handled this? I think they've handled it with absolute class. And I really am appreciative of this when you compare it to what we've seen in the news earlier this week about why NCL just basically really didn't handle the Antarctica stuff very well at all. Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you guys watching. Also, it is President's Day weekend, so if you do have a cruise booked on Royal Caribbean or Celebrity, you might want to check with them because they are offering some President's Day discounts. Just a little reminder there. I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks so much for the support, and until I talk to you next week, happy cruising.